Hello, good evening. This is Doc Severson for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA trade of the day for Thursday, the 28th of October. Let's start off with Bitcoin. We are in a small, controlled corrective pattern. This is all good because the daily chart was in exhaustion so this is what has to happen. So similar to what we went through here, we had this great swing and then we went through about a month of chop here, because the larger time frame chart, the weekly chart, was in exhaustion at that point, right? So we went through a longer consolidation. Well, this time we have the shorter time frame chart screaming out in agony and exhaustion and needs some time to recover, and it's actually done that. It's gotten very close to full energy. But now if we take this entire swing together here, this entire big swing, we almost got into weekly exhaustion. So we need a few more weeks up at this level. And, you know, the good news here is that I keep pointing out is the monthly chart looks great. Energy wise, it's about 50, which is not fully charged, but it's good enough. And so we're going to be chopping around in this area. What I want to see is that the price holds about 52.5 or 53,000 for that pivot and that swing test and that 50% fib. Today, we're seeing a lot of green across the board. It's almost an inversion of yesterday, where we had Shiba was the only coin really rallying. I mean, it kind of overdid it yesterday and is paying for those sins today, but still holding up relatively well considering. Ethereum is looking especially strong today. And you can see this is a great example of what I call a high and tight consolidation. So the price is staying within a relatively small range, winding up like this, and it creates this sort of coiled spring effect from here. It should break out to the upside if all of the other time frames are still good in terms of energy, which they are actually. Look at that weekly chart. It looks really good. Monthly chart is just coming now out of exhaustion, but I don't think this is going to be an impediment for any kind of upside breakout at this point. But it's going to have to do it on its own without the help of the big brother Bitcoin. And we've seen that in the past before. We've seen breakouts on Ethereum kind of going on its own way. Back in this spring, we saw that. So we'll see if it happens again, but I'm fine with this consolidating for another week or so. But right now we're just about at the point where Ethereum could break and run on its own. Here's Dogecoin actually joining the party and is creating what might be a really nice rounded base here. Now, 35 cents looks to be the neckline for this rounded base. And we're getting a little bit of volume here today, which is good, although it's selling off near the neckline. So I don't think it's going to be breaking out today. But this would be good if Dogecoin is able to build this rounded base, build up some energy, and create, you know, just this massive demand spike out of here. We've seen this so many times where we have coins that are building a rounded base and then they just tend to blow up above here. So watch for that at some point. And, you know, the downside measured move, or I should say the upside measured move, is really the depth of the base, which is not all that impressive, maybe only getting us up to 55 cents or so. To me, this would more than likely hit that 70-cent level again if we're able to get a valid breakout from this base. But this could stand with a little bit more time to build up pressure below this neckline for Dogecoin. Here's a coin that looks good today. This is Matic. It's building up a lot of volume as it breaks out above $1.80. So this is looking good. It's been putting in its time as well too. This is kind of the same. This is not really that structured of a rounded base, but kind of the same effect here is that it's been going back and forth over the last few months and looks to be breaking out today. Again, the feature here is the volume. It's the simple things that comes back to again and again. Looking for trend, looking for volume. It's really, you know, what we do is not that difficult. What makes it difficult is our own cognitive biases getting in the way, especially by coins that you own and are in downtrends, and you're looking for ways to justify holding on to them. And this is preventing you from seeing things like this breakout here on Matic today. You know, I'm hunting through this list looking for coins that I can feature today, and I'm seeing an awful lot of these types where we have a coin which is Like this is EOS, and this is one of our former winners that was doing great up until this spring, and then since then has kind of gone dormant. And if we look at a weekly chart, we can just see a better picture of what's going on here. It was doing great up until this point. There's that rounded base. There's the breakout. There's actually the culmination of the upside measured move target. And then it collapses right after that and has been in a downtrend since that point, downtrend to consolidation. And what I was pointing out in yesterday's live stream that we did is the consolidation after a downtrend like this is a continuation pattern. So it normally will continue in the direction from whence it came. And it came from this direction, should consolidate, more than likely will break to the downside unless something different happens to change around its fortunes. Now, that's not to say that it is impossible for this to break out to the upside, and I'm not picking on EOS. I just see a lot of charts that look almost exactly like this. And these are the ones that we should avoid for right now until they start to prove themselves by breaking higher above recent lower highs. In this case about 640 or so is where I'd want to see this thing break out above to get interested in this again. You can see this on like AMP versus the US dollar. This is in a clear downtrend right now. So just because it's up 6.6% today doesn't really mean anything. It's up just because of being oversold to the downside and coming up against support. So again, that's not to say that this can't break out. And descending patterns typically do break to the upside, as we talk about with rule number 3, but there's no reason why you can't just wait for this to show some proof that it's breaking out and set up for the higher low as your entry point to that. So what I'm getting at here is that if something is in a downtrend, don't try to pick the bottom with this. Wait till it shows intent and wait till it proves itself to you by trading above pivot highs and show that it's starting to move into an uptrend. Let me exit on one last thought here before we get into the weekend, is if you're looking to pick up any BTC, this is probably the level that you want to pick it up as in the low 50s. If we do get a swing test down here in conjunction with a test of one of the fib retracements like 50%, I think that's a good area where you can look for some support to come in there. So if you're shy on BTC holdings and looking to stack sats at this point, a drop down to somewhere in the low 50s, 52 to 53 is probably the best place to pick up sats and to sit there with a limit order, good till cancel. All right, folks, that is it for today's report. I'll see you on Sunday morning with the weekend edition where we'll recap what's happening over the weekend. Thanks for listening and take care.